What makes car dealerships important? That's the main topic of this episode.
We'll also be covering a lot more news, views, tips, and strategies to help you build a better dealership.
I'm Travis Miller.
And I'm Jimmy Vee.
And this is the show that helps you build a better dealership. Jimmy, why don't we start off here by jumping into some headlines, some news items. What do you think?
Yeah, man, sounds great.
We're always keeping an eye on, what's going on out there. We see good news, we see bad news, and ultimately it's what you make of it. I saw an article the other day that said that last month's sales increased 27.6% from the month prior, which was a 16.5% increase from the same month last year. And also the days supply had dropped significantly, probably about a 20% reduction in days supply of cars. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's great that every month that we sell more cars in this business is a better month than the prior one. I think every dealer will tell you that. And as it continues to improve,
it's never enough, right?
It's never enough. It's next month is always a new month, right? So We're always working to hit our goals for the next month, and it seems like we're on an upward trajectory. That's good. That's good for the business. That's good for dealers. So I'm happy to see that. But we never know what's coming. So around the bend, we have to be vigilant and we have to keep pushing. We have to always set and strive to hit our goals.
Yeah. I saw an Edmunds article that said that if you're shopping for a used car, the options keep getting better and the prices keep going lower. It was saying that dealers are selling cars as quickly as they were a year ago, but customers are paying less in the process.
So we're getting more sales, but the profits are down.
I'd be curious to hear what people out there watching are experiencing. Are the prices shrinking? Are the profits shrinking? Or is it both?
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
The first part of this year was really kind of difficult for a lot of dealerships, and so I think it's nice to see the pace quickening. You know how there's like a silver lining, like there's bad news, but then there's a silver lining that's good news. This is like good news, but I think it's got some bad news behind it, or some things to be concerned about. That
so quote, it's a dark cloud with a silver lining.
It's a dark cloud, or maybe it's a silver cloud with a dark lining. I'm not sure. I don't know what it's called. But that quote, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times.
Yes, I've heard that. Okay,
so
it's a great quote.
Though it is a great quote. And my concern, of course, look, my goal is always for sales to increase, just because we work with dealerships. I know that dealerships want to sell more cars, always and everywhere. But when things get a little easier, and let's face it, like there were, last few years had some relatively easy years baked into them, right?
Yeah.
When things get easier, a lot of dealerships tend to get, they rest on their laurels a little
lazier.
bit. They take it easy. Yeah, they start to slack on systems and processes and culture development and staff training and recruiting, because as I've heard people say at certain points, the cars sell themselves, right? And when things are tough, it's like what the problem is when you let things slip a little bit, then when things inevitably tighten up, get harder, you're not really prepared to weather that storm.
Yeah, and look, I mean, we all know that staffing is always a challenge, and when people get used to working a certain way. And then that certain way doesn't work as easily and as profitably as it used to, then they have to work harder. They don't necessarily like that. And if you haven't kept up with your training regimens and your culture and your systems and processes, things break down. We know that process creep is a real thing. And you end up in a place where to get even back to scratch is a challenge, and often requires some reformatting of systems and processes and people in the dealership.
Yeah, so it's kind of like better to be on top of that when things are good so that you're prepared for when things get tough, right? So kind of a reminder. Saw another article. This was a CDK study about the buyer journey that said, I thought this was interesting, dealership sales staff are extremely good at delivering two things that are critical to closing sales: test drives and assessing what a customer truly needs.
Yeah.
There's something interesting about that. Assessing what a customer truly needs, which I think is slightly different than what a customer wants.
Yeah, I think that's always a critical distinction and often missed at dealerships that I talk to and even visit. We always have a salesperson that approaches you and say, what are you looking for? What do you want? What have you found that you want to purchase, right? Assuming that they've done all the research and all the work themselves. And I think we really need to ask a different question, which is, what are we trying to accomplish? Because what you're trying to accomplish actually takes into consideration the needs rather than just the wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, in the same study found that 94% of customers reported that dealership staff spent time assessing their vehicle needs. This kind of brings up an interesting point. Like, it says, while many car shoppers come into the showroom with a general idea of what they want, they often want their purchase considerations confirmed by expert dealership personnel, which leads, sort of supports one of the key ideas behind this show, which is that dealerships are important, right?
Yeah, and this is why dealerships individually, not the car business, the car industry is important, but a car dealership is important because car dealerships help people on the ground, individuals in an individual market looking for answers in their town to their needs, and they can go to a dealership and get that expert help, hopefully.
I got one other news item here that you had shared with me. This was about the budget consciousness among shoppers.
Yeah, this article was interesting. It was a CDK study that said 50% of the people who came into a car dealership with a budget ended up spending at the top end of their budget.
It's 57% said 50% that the payment was ultimately on the top end of their budget.
Yeah.
36% said it was at the low end of the budget, and 7% said it exceeded their budget.
Which I thought this was really interesting because, there's such a discussion in the car business about low price, right? And competing on low price and pricing cars low and all of those conversations. And, here we have 57% figure that of people who are buying at the top end of their budget. So, if the budget was the key concern, then wouldn't the majority of people be buying at the bottom end of their budget?
Right. Yeah. That's sort of it tells a different story than what, I would say that we've been led to believe, or what the narrative has been for the past 10 or 15 years.
I think that this is, there's a myriad of reasons here, and all the data isn't shared, but you could talk about salesmanship plays a factor here, options and the option ranges and how they're built play a factor here, desire plays a factor here, right? And so many, and what's available plays a factor. There's so many things that play a factor here, but they all play a greater factor than just the price. And we have to always keep that in mind.
I think it ties into another one of the key concepts here of this show, which is that the car business, or the car dealership business, fundamentally is a people business, not a product business. And if it were purely a product business, then I think that budget figure would be, the majority would be on the lower side, because, product business is a commodity business, and generally people want to pay as little as possible for a commodity. And so if people are spending more than their budgets, dictated, or at the top end of their budget range, obviously that speaks to supply and demand, which is one thing, but, supply is improving. But I think it speaks more greatly to the idea that this business is about something more than just, product and price.
Yeah. Are you guys using AI in your dealership?
That's a good question.
We've discovered a really cool resource that we wanted to bring your attention to, magai.co. Magi.co is a resource where you can use not one AI chatbot, but all of the AI chatbots in one simplified platform. You can, for one single monthly fee, you can select ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and so many other GPTs to ask your questions, to get answers, to find solutions, to help you be more productive, and really anyone in your dealership be more productive with what you do on a daily basis. It's a cool tool. We love it, right, Travis? This is not something we're just recommending. This is something we actually use ourselves.
I use this every day. Look, if you use any of the AI services, you got to pay for them. Like if you have any substantial use, and there are different AI, tools are good at different things, and so there's really not a one size fits all tool, except for this one because it lets you use them all for a single. Essentially, I mean, it's a pretty low monthly fee. I think it's about the same cost as having a subscription to one of the services. You get access to all of the services, so that's why I like it and why I use it. It's my preferred AI tool. But it does lead us to an interesting question. I'd love to hear, from you guys in the comments, like, how are you using AI at the dealership? Are you using it? Do you use it on a daily basis, weekly basis? What, interesting, applications have you found for it? And, what ideas do you have for AI, how you could use AI in the business that, share it with us. Maybe we can help you figure out how to, how to get it implemented and how to start benefiting from it.
So check it out, magai.co, magai.co. It's a great tool. I suggest you try it.
By the way, if you're enjoying the episode, just a quick reminder to press the like button and subscribe to this channel for useful tips, and also turn on the notifications so you never miss a future episode.
And thank you for sharing this episode with your colleagues. We really appreciate that.
So let's dive into the main topic of our episode today. Some of you might be wondering, who we are and why are we here? Why are we doing this? We've been working with dealerships for 26 years now and have helped dealers sell millions of cars, literally. And we lost count after 2 million, but that was a long time ago. So now, I don't know, 4 or 5 million cars we've helped sell, been part of. But more importantly than the number of cars that we've sold is the impact that we have had on dealerships. And see, we view dealerships maybe differently than a lot of people view dealerships. We view dealerships as small businesses, often family-owned and family-run dealerships. And we look at the dealerships as the people who make up the dealerships, the entrepreneurs who were bold enough to, start the business and who are talented enough to keep the business running. And we recognize and see those individuals as people, as humans with families and with desires and goals and, fears and, challenges. And we've always been dedicated to helping those people make improvements, get better, and achieve more than they ever thought possible. In fact, that's our big mission in life. And we'll talk more about that later. But after helping so many dealerships sell so many cars, we decided we should share some of the wisdom that we've gained, the experiences that we've had, some of our very unique perspective on the business. We should share it with the world. And so that's why we decided to create this show to, share our voice and share our ideas and help as many dealerships as possible create a better dealership.
Right. We believe that dealerships are the cornerstones of communities, and they make up a significant footprint and a significant impact in their communities. They can, if they manage their business properly, and if they focus on the impact that they can make in a community. So really, that's at the heart of our philosophy around the dealership business, and why we work hard every day to help dealerships be successful. And ultimately, we believe that you'll be more successful and make bigger impact when you are a better dealership. And we are going to share in this show ideas and strategies and tips for doing exactly that, being a better dealership that makes a better and bigger impact in your individual community. And when we can all do that, then it's a win-win-win for all. And that's what kind of drives us every single day, inspiring and encouraging people to do better and achieve more.
So on this show, there are 3 key concepts. These are foundational ideas that we have constructed the show around. I want to share them with you and then discuss them. And these should be present in all of our discussions. And maybe some of these are new ideas, new perspective for you, or maybe not. Maybe you already agree. Maybe you already feel the same way as us, and that's wonderful. Either way, I want to share the idea and invite you to consider it and to try it on for size, these three key concepts. And the first one is that car dealerships are important. The second key concept, so the car dealership business is fundamentally a people business, not a product business.
And lastly, that business and life should be ESP, enjoyable, simple, and prosperous. And that ESP extends to the dealer and extends to all the staff. And then ultimately, our goal as leaders of an organization should be to help make the lives of our customers enjoyable, simple, and prosperous as well. So again, it's a trickle effect, it's trickle-down effect, an atomic effect that if we can achieve it for ourselves, then we can help others achieve it as well in the process.
It's basically Reaganomics. I mean, let's just face it. It's like Reaganomics.
Come on. Totally. I mean,
Did you see the Reagan movie? The Reagan movie just came out.
I haven't seen it yet, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'd like to check that out. Anyway, that's not part of the topic here. That just, I'd love to, although if you've seen the movie, I'd love to know what you thought of it.
Yeah. Are you planning on watching it? You should. And if you are, let us know that too. Okay, so let's dive into the first one. Let's kind of go deeper on car dealerships are important. And I think if we're going to talk about that, then we have to make a distinction here, Travis. We have to make the distinction between car dealership business and the car business, right? You often hear a lot of people talking about the car business this and the car business of that, or you work in the car business or you work in this. And, it even extends all the way down to employees at a specific dealership. Often we'll say that, they work for Toyota or they work for Honda or they work for, but they don't really work for Toyota or Honda. They work for David Hobbs Honda, right? Or Joe Schmo Toyota. They work for some dealership, not the manufacturer. Well, the car business is the manufacturer business. It's the manufacturing and selling to dealers of vehicles. The car dealership business is the business that we're all in, which is the business of selling cars at a dealership to a community in which that dealership resides. And now with the internet, sometimes you might sell those cars to people outside of that community, but it's all through the efforts of the individuals who work at that specific dealership. That is the business, the car dealership business. Then that is the business we're actually in.
I think it's really important to draw that line of distinction between the two businesses and not to allow the two to be conflated with one another because, and by the way, the entire business is oriented to conflate the two, to mix them into one and then put the dealerships at the bottom of the totem pole.
That's right.
I don't know if you've noticed that or not.
Yeah. I mean, everything from manufacturers dictating that all dealerships of a certain manufacturing type look alike down to the tile in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And there's been an enormous pressure over the last 15 years, downward pressure on dealership profits, right? And it's all part of we believe it's part of a coordinated attack to diminish the role and importance of dealerships. And we support dealerships, as I mentioned before. We believe that you should push back against that. And we believe that you should first start by recognizing the fact that your business is important. That CDK study that we mentioned earlier said that 96% of customers, got help and needs assessment. The reality is that
they wanted the needs assessment. They went to the dealership to seek out advice and service. And I mean like auto service, but informational service.
I have kind of a morbid example here that popped to my mind. Actually, just last night, I've been watching with my wife and son. We've been watching old episodes of Dexter, which is a great show. There was an episode in which an important character had unfortunately passed away, and some other important characters were at the funeral home, working on making final arrangements for this character. And it was a very brief scene, but the person from let's call it the funeral director, came out and was just amazing, and the level of empathy and concern and care and how they directed the characters through the very difficult decisions that had to be made in a very short amount of time. And it occurred to me that this is kind of morbid, but like this, not totally different than buying a car. Like most of us, thankfully or hopefully, don't go through the process of making tough decisions at a funeral home very frequently in our lives. And when we do, we really need to be, taken by the hand and walk through the process and treated with extraordinary care and empathy. And the same is true when buying a car, because this is a big decision that has big impact, financially and otherwise. And it's not something that most customers are experts in doing. And so they need the help of a dealership. You're not going to get that help from the manufacturer. You get that help from a dealership. I mean, for you guys, you sell cars every day, so it's not a big deal to sell a car. But a customer only buys a car every few years at most. They buy a handful of cars in their entire life, right? And they're nervous. They have anxiety about the process, and the role that you play to help them, feel comfortable with the process and make good decisions. I want you to see not only is that important, but you should be proud of the role that you play. And the people who work at your dealership should be proud about the role that they play. And this is really, I think this whole idea is recasting the concept of what a car dealership is and why the idea that car dealerships are important, instead of the idea that car dealerships are nuisances or pests, which is frankly how they have been portrayed in the media for the last
it's almost like a necessary evil. I think that in some level the manufacturers look at them as a necessary evil, and they are depicted as evil, and all of that is just patently wrong. And I think it's all up to us to understand our true value, reclaim our true value and power, and use that to set ourselves free and actually create and deliver the value we actually can and are designed to do. And I really think that's what you and I have been working on for the last 26 years, is helping dealerships find freedom through harnessing their own value and power, and dealers themselves finding that freedom as entrepreneurs, business owners, and leading them on a path from entrepreneur to CEO, and to truly embracing the power and the magic of the value that they provide to the community, and being that leader that they really could and should be. And when that happens, I mean, you not only make more money, life becomes and business becomes enjoyable, simple, and prosperous. I mean, that is ultimately why that exists.
That's true. Yeah,
and we will get to that. So the second one, though, is the car dealership business is a people business, not a product business. Now, this kind of connects to the first one and the distinction between the two businesses, the car dealer, the car business and the car dealership business.
Right.
If this truly was only about the car business, then it would truly be a product business, because the manufacturers are a product business. They build products and they sell those products to dealerships. But the dealership business, the car dealership business, is not a product business. It's a people business, and it's a service business. The thing that we actually provide is a level of service that allows a customer to be able to purchase the product that the manufacturer produces. And
I don't know if you've ever even taken time to consider this, but the act of even having inventory on the ground at the dealership is an extremely valuable service that you provide the people in your community. Like, I'm sure you realize that those cars aren't there for free, right?
Sure, you realize it every month.
Right? You get the bill, you get the floor plan bill every month.
I don't know
You're paying for that inventory to be there.
The community understands it, but
I think the community would tend to believe that the cars are placed there by the manufacturers for their viewing pleasure. They probably don't realize that you've had to purchase those and pay carrying cost to own them and then to have them there. But you having them there and carrying that expense to have the inventory available for customers to look at, like, buying a car without looking at it is tough, right?
Yes.
And which is why the dealers, another reason why dealerships are important, right? So
That's just one of the many services. Just having them there, right?
Yeah, just having the basic, the basic function of a dealership is a service, right? And obviously handling trades, helping guide people through the process is a service.
Finding the right vehicle that meets their needs, the financing element of it.
Right.
All of that is all part and parcel to the service that we actually provide. And I believe that we often, and I know that our salespeople often miss this and disregard the true value and instead put the focus on the product instead of on the service. And so we actually denigrate our value or allow our value to be denigrated by our people when we put the emphasis on this is strictly a product business. We have this inventory, we price it competitively or lower than everyone else, and you can come and decide which one of these you want, and then you can drive it home, right? That's the bare essence of a merchant business, a retail business. But we are really not that. We are the connector. We are the service provider that connects all of this together. This is like a travel agent. The travel agent doesn't sell the airfare. Like they're not of the airline company. They're the connector between the airline company, the travel, the hotel company, the on-the-ground DMC, and all those other companies that go together to make a trip a trip.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and Jimmy, you said that that dealerships aren't that. But I think maybe more specifically, we don't have to be that. We don't have to be the merchant. We don't have to be just about the product. There's an opportunity when a dealership can see its own value. That starts with the owner, right?
Yep.
And then it can infiltrate the culture of the dealership very quickly in a very positive way and transform the way everybody who works at a dealership views about their, the value of their work. There's a great book, Gung Ho, which is a workplace culture book. And one of the concepts in that book is called the Way of the Squirrel, which is about watching squirrels, go around and round up nuts and hide them away for the winter. And the reason that the squirrels all do that in this coordinated fashion is because they believe that they're doing worthwhile work, right? And selling cars only for profit, or for that matter, worse, maybe selling cars for no profit, doesn't feel like just worthwhile work. Yeah, selling them just to sell them. Helping people make great decisions and recognizing that you play an important role in the process and add extreme value, that is worthwhile work. And that totally can transform the workplace culture at your dealership, which in turn, why should that matter, by the way? And it matters because it transforms the customer experience. And then that has compounding effects that amplify back and forth and ultimately increase the enterprise value of your company, and leads to the third point, which is this, that business and life, including the car dealership business, by the way, should be ESP. Enjoyable, simple, and prosperous. That's right.
And we believe that why else would you go to work if it's not enjoyable, simple, and prosperous? And we noticed this. We developed this idea from working with lots of small business owners over the years, and then ultimately dealerships as well, that we noticed that many of them were in business, but business wasn't enjoyable, simple, or prosperous for them. It was work, and they were almost chained to the business because of, now they not only had a job, but they owned the job, and they got all the stress that came with the ownership portion, but none of the benefits that came with it. And
over the years, we've heard from so many people in the car business who have told us that they hate what the business has become, right? And it used to be fun. It used to be enjoyable. They used to make more money, right? It used to be more ESP, and now it's turned into something different. In future episodes, we can talk about why that's happened, what's caused that, and how to
set yourself free.
How to set yourself free, exactly. But today, just want to point out that it doesn't have to be that way. It can and it should be ESP, enjoyable, simple, and prosperous. And doesn't that sound great? Doesn't that sound refreshing? Most of the people we talk to agree and say, yeah, it would be wonderful. Now, of course, how do we do it? And look, that's one of the big things that we're going to be talking about on this show. So, appreciate you tuning in and being with us and listening. and hearing about these 3 key concepts. And there's so much more in store and so much more to come and so much opportunity to totally transform your business, your experience with your business, and the value that your business creates and provides for its customers, and the value that you receive in return. So we're excited and glad to be on the journey with you. Hey, we'd love to know, based on what Jim and I have been talking about today, what do you feel makes your dealership important? Share your thoughts below. Let us know in the comments. We look forward to hearing from you.
And in the next episode, we'll be talking about how to recession-proof your dealership. And if you want to stay in the loop, the best way to do that is to head on over to betterdealerships.com and join our Facebook group there. You can enter the conversation with the community, and we'll be sharing tips and tactics and strategies there. And all of your colleagues will be there in the conversation. So if you would like to join and enter, please head on over to betterdealerships.com.